Which one? I haven't finished Tiny Tina yet. I didn't really like it.
Yo, what is up, guys? It is your boy Forte, and it is time for another episode of Damage Per Second podcast. We are to episode 129, far cry away from the 300 celebration the Iron Lords had this past Sunday, which was great. Shout out to them, and hopefully with the love and support of the 10 percenters, we'll get there too. We'll get there just because I love slow mo. But with that being said, I do want to introduce the man, the myth, the legend, the man they call Killtacular, the man that has a KD body count higher than most people in the Twitter sphere. Slow-mo backslap, what is going on with you, sir? How are you today?
Man, you out here really
Gassing you up.
gassing me up. People be like, I want to test this out, man. Is he really that good in all these games? And then like, I'm okay. I'm all right. I wouldn't test me, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm doing good though. It's been an interesting week, to say the least. Buried the parent. Um, got to meet some family that I hadn't met before. Play some games. Played some new modes from games that have been in need of new modes and new content for a long time. So I've been doing okay, man. How about you?
I've been good, man. Just working. It's man, when you work, you ever when you hear those people that say, "Man, I work 70 hours in a week, man, I ain't got time to do nothing," and I be looking like, "How do you do that and even function?" And now that I'm there, like this week and last week, it's like, oh man, they are absolutely right. It's like all you do was want to come home and go to sleep. And if it wasn't for the fact that I had,
Yeah.
obligations and other things, I probably wouldn't have played any games. I probably wouldn't have done anything. I've been,
There was a particular game that you were supposed to try.
I did.
You did try it?
I did try it. And it wasn't as bad as
Okay.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't. Okay, all right. So the game, for those who weren't here last week, Forte tried to throw some slander on the great Persona 5. He tried to say, all you doing is just sitting up in the school all day, so why would I want to
That's
play
what it
that?
looked like.
Myself and like 90% of the chat nearly heads exploded, blew a gasket, was like, sir, you have zero excuses not to play this game and know whether that's true for or not for yourself. The game is in Game Pass and PS Plus, and it's probably on Nintendo. Some Nintendo, so it's like Nintendo still ain't got Persona 5. But shout out to all the Nintendo gamers that's real perturbed about that. Anyway, the point is that that game is freely available and accessible, and you should have been playing it, sir. And so, how was it?
It was actually pretty fun. I like the I like the it's like a really quirky sense of humor to it, but I really like it because it literally doesn't take itself I mean, how can it take itself serious with the characters that are in this game? I jumped into Persona Royale just to because a lot of people tell me it's like the better version to play.
Yes, it is. They streamlined, so like their dungeons are called palaces.
Yeah, the
Uh,
palaces.
the palaces have been kind of remixed, streamlined. There was some like slight annoyances with the original game, with the way of the palace structure. There's another place that you would go to called Mementos. That was just all the way annoying, all the way out. And so there were a lot of things they kind of made better. They made the combat a little bit better too. It's better when you're getting into the combat. It's easier to just wipe out like random encounters now in Royal than it was in the original game. In addition to them adding more side characters, another character that actually joins your group, and an additional semester to the entire story. So it's just a better version of the game. And actually, from what I haven't complete Royal yet, I beat Persona 5 twice. My first time through Persona 5, it took me 120 hours. And my second time, it took me about 85. Now, from what I'm seeing, in your first time through with Royal, it will probably take you about like that 80-hour mark. So you're really knocking off like 40 hours with the
Thank
way they
God.
made it, they make changes to it. But it's cool. It's cool. I think you'll like it, especially once you hit. There's a particular point I think where people get addicted to Persona 5, and it happens that it's a very tragic event that happens. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it does involve your first main antagonist and his behavior. So like literally everyone finds him to be the most repulsive person in the entire game. And once that everyone who's played the game knows what I'm talking about. Once that point occurs, you're not gonna put the game down, I think.
Oh, Blade X says Forte thought he was gonna get a master's in school. Man, thought I was. Shout out to the shout out to the homie Fonz Gaming. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to shout out to RDX podcast. I was on there with them the last couple of weeks and stuff. It's always a great time.
Yeah, you've been on RDX a lot, man. I've been noticing that. Yeah,
it's fun over there, man. You know, if I got time to
what's that about? What's that about?
I mean, I'm just over there.
You're just there. You're just I was just around, and next thing you know, there was a podcast.
Listen,
okay.
Whenever dealer needs a bench player to come in, that's what I do. I pinch hit every once in a while.
Okay. All right, Mr. Celebrity.
It's mostly whenever Zocker's not there because he's got a lot of stuff with work going on. So it's like I'm basically on call, but that's cool. I don't mind. I like it because it's a good flexing of the muscle that is inside of your brain, because you got to keep yourself always on your toes with those guys because they definitely know what they're talking about. And that community over there will let you know if you say some crazy stuff. So you got to kind of always stay on top of your toes. So it's a good time over there, man. And the one thing it did remind me of is how crazy some fans are when it comes to their particular piece of plastic, because it's like you
don't say.
Oh, you instantly get like this it's like you can't be critical of anything. It's like if we love, like, we can say,
don't say.
We can say we love Xbox like 20 times over, but the first time we say, yo, Xbox messing up and they doing some crazy stuff, man, all the pitchforks come out, the wolves are coming out of the corners. You know, we got ghosts jumping out of closets. It's crazy, man. It's like people really take this thing way too serious, and I understand that.
It's amazing how often people say, "Oh, I don't mind criticism of X brand," but then never actually show that they don't mind criticism of X brand, because every time they hear criticism of X brand, they lose it. They call it fake outrage, fake doom and gloom, fake you're a fake gamer of X brand. And they always go to that default response literally every time there's criticism.
Yeah.
But they say, I don't mind criticism, but prove it.
You don't mind criticism when you're the one critiquing it, but when someone else is doing it, it's like, no, you're wrong, and I'm gonna tell you why. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, whatever.
I don't like how you criticize. You're too excessive.
You're too excessive. Right, exactly. That's the biggest thing. Like, you're too excessive.
I like mild criticism. I like diet criticism. I like 1 calorie criticism. Your criticism, there's too much sugar in that. There's too much there's too many calories in your criticism, sir. You can't do that.
Yeah. Straight up get diabetes with your criticism.
But shout out to all
them guys, man.
All those fine people. You know, everyone has their opinions, and they're welcome to it.
Yeah, so, Diller, we got to get this man on there, man. I heard Slow-Mo has not been a part of the greatness that's called RDX podcast, and he would love to come over there and share his opinions every once in a while. So make sure you hit him up. He's always be a good time. Fonz, make sure you talk to Diller about it. We get him on there one day.
I don't know if the audience want to hear Slow-Mo.
Well, you would have fit in last week, bro. You would have fit in with us last week. It was crazy.
But I mean, overall with Persona 5, how far did you get? And
I got about 3 hours in, so not too far, but far
enough.
I
will say this: it opens up. So, like when you're in the beginning, they don't really give you a lot to do. It's essentially you go to school and then the guy that's like your guardian's like shut up and go to bed and you just
Yeah.
go, shut up and go to bed. But like as the days go on, you get more freedom and you get more to do, and then you're kind of looking around like, okay, what do I want to do today? How do I want to do I want to advance my relationships? Excuse me, advance my relationships with my friends. Do I want to actually get a job and work on my personal skills and my personality and stuff? Do I want to go and work, complete this palace? Like you really have all those options to kind of handle it however you want at that point.
Yeah.
So
So
that's yeah.
so I didn't make these topics because I didn't know if we played them or anything. But did you get a chance to play? I know you like, well, never mind. You did you thought Horizon was boring, but did you play any of the DLC yet? Did you even try it?
No, I'm not. Well, what you unlike the Frozen Wilds with Zero Dawn, even though I didn't play that until I think I played it right near I was near the end. I was near the end of beating Zero Dawn when I played it, but that's a expansion that you can play. I think you had I can't remember what level you had to be before it unlocked, but you could play that before you completed the game. But this new one, the Burning
The
Shores.
Brody Shores, yeah.
Yeah, the Burning Shores can't be played until you complete Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh, so you
And
definitely
right
been
now,
playing that.
but you know how I feel.
We a little far away
Mm-mm,
from that.
we are a long way from completing that game. So no, I didn't. I haven't completed it. Although even if I was going to complete it, I probably ended up like most people, completely spoiled by people posting spoilers all over the place on Twitter.
Yeah, that is a thing
Because
right now.
I didn't even remember that the expansion that came out before people were already posting spoilers of like the end of it.
That
I thought it was
sucks.
wild.
I forgot it was coming out too. I saw BG streaming it, and I was like, oh yeah, that
Mm,
did come out. I said, too bad I didn't beat the game yet. It probably won't beat the game. I don't know.
yeah.
I almost wanted to be real messy in his chat and this super chat like, is the dialogue and story any better than the main game, or is it still putting people to
Look, you
sleep?
know what? Let's just it's out there already. Okay, so we can talk about this. Look, so there's a whole controversy going on right now. Is that one of the topics?
Which one?
No, about Aloy.
No, it's not. We did. That's why I said I didn't know if
Okay,
you played it, so I didn't make it one.
well, we can still
Yeah, we
kind
can
of
talk about it.
look
Go ahead.
because there's a whole controversy about her as a character and the things that were spoiled. So look, it's already out there. Everyone knows it at this point. So Aloy kisses. There's this girl. This is like this. I mean, I mean, when I saw her, I was like, man, why can't they make her the main protagonist? Why can't she be the new Aloy? But whatever, right? She seems to have more of a personality. And a lot of people feel Aloy is basically has the personality of a dead cockroach, right?
God
But
damn.
she sucks. She's not a great main protagonist. It is what it is. But Guerrilla Games and they have I guess explored more of who Aloy is in this expansion because she's got this sidekick, this other girl. I don't know the girl's name. But like she's around now, and Aloy likes her apparently because they kissing each other. They kissed all up on each other, and I'm like, okay, all right, interesting. But I mean, that don't really make change. It doesn't really change the fact that Aloy is boring. So, I mean, what are we saying here? So, like, she went from being a boring protagonist to a boring lesbian protagonist. I mean, it doesn't
Oh
change
man.
anything.
Oh
So,
man.
I don't understand what the big deal is, but there are people that are upset that, like, I guess we're still getting upset over this in 2023 that a main character isn't straight.
Mhm.
Whoopies, surprise, whatever, right? But I just kind of thought it was interesting and thought it was something to discuss real briefly. What were your thoughts on that?
Me in general, I people people take stuff way too far. It's like, who cares? I just think that in general, it's just the fact that people just didn't like her personality to begin with.
He doesn't have a
That's what
personality.
I'm
That's the
saying.
problem.
Yeah, she doesn't. She's like looking at. It's like reading a book. It's like you're reading a book and expecting that book to talk back to you. And that's what Aloy is. It's a book that just talks, but it has no. It's like it doesn't like relay any feelings or emotion. Like I get more feeling and emotion out of reading a book about Master Chief or Halo or something than I would get from just her acting. Not the voice act, because I think the voice actress does a really, really great job. I just think it's the way that it's written. And for them to have such really good facial animations and stuff, it just doesn't, like, the performance doesn't, in my opinion, shine through with her character like it does with other characters, because you see
Yeah, I don't
Lance
think
Reddick's
it's
character, his characters always shine through, it
yeah.
seems.
Silas is awesome. Silas is the only like interesting character in I think the entire universe. Like I even in and I thought Zero Dawn story was decent. I
Mm-hmm.
just thought like the way Gorilla told it was done poorly. But
Mm-hmm.
Silas has always been interesting. You can never really tell whose side is he on. Newsflash, he's on his own side. But like even when you saw some of the little like hologram flashback stuff and some of the other people who had created Zero Dawn, like some of them had like very interesting personalities, but they were all very like one note, like
Mm-hmm.
very they weren't very complex. I think it's okay, all right, thank you, Lucius. I'll fix that. um I think it wasn't very the characters just like Aloy's the main character. No one else besides Silas was very interesting. But I think that Ashley Burke, who does the voice acting,
Yeah,
she
Ashley
does a
Birch.
good job.
She
She does a
does.
good, but it's just that like it's not that dialogue isn't. They don't really give her much to work with, is what I'm saying. Let me fix something on the other stream. I'll be right back. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead
no, no,
first.
you're good.
I'm
Yeah,
still
so
listening.
yeah. So I think that is the biggest thing, but I really like the fact that I mean, the game has been out for just over a year, came out in February of 2022. So to see it get a big updated DLC for it is great. On top of that, they had the VR game released for it. So there's a lot of stuff to remind you that Horizon is still alive and well, and it's definitely done well for Sony and everything, even with all of the criticism and stuff that the game has gotten when it came to like the story and just the overall, I guess, replayability of the game, because it's like one of those games that once you're done with it, you're kind of done, because you don't go back for the story. You pretty much just go back for the adventure. But then once you're done doing all that and collecting everything, you're just like, yeah, it's really nothing for me else to do here. So I'm pretty much done. But it definitely done good enough. It did good enough for us to probably see whatever the next step is going to be in that universe. Hopefully it's with another protagonist, because I feel like at this point people have kind of just said Aloy is just what Aloy is, and
Yeah, I wouldn't even mind if like they killed her off and they had this other chick take over.
right.
This new chick take over. Hey, that's like, hey, we got a cool lesbian.
So
Let's
we got.
go. Let's go. Hey, let's go with her. But no, for myself, before we get into the topics, I've been
Yeah,
let's see, what have I been playing? I've been playing, still playing X Defiant. I think
nice.
everyone now agrees with me that that's just basically there are only like really two different factions that everyone chooses, and it's the faction from Far Cry 6 where they just do the heal thing, which is like it's silly. You have one character that can heal themselves. No other faction can heal themselves. That's just you can't have that. That's OP. Like
Right.
that's ridiculous. Um, and people, you'll be shooting someone down to like one health 1 HP, and they'll use the heal and they'll go up to 120, not even 100, 120. It's just like, come on, bro. So there's that faction, then there's the other faction that's the Echelons or whatever they want to call them from Splinter Cell. They can turn invisible and they can do and there's a other faction they have disabled. The one I used to use in the previous beta that's from where are they from? Ghost Recon, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe Rainbow Six. I don't know. No. They're from Watch Dogs because they can like hack stuff. So they can hack, which I think is the perfect balance to it. So like, if you want to have that, okay, that OP heal. If you want to have the OP, I can turn invisible and you don't see me kind of stuff. You got the hacking guys that can just hack you and then turn all that stuff off. So you can't use your heals. If you're invisible, it makes you visible immediately. Like that one, but that one's locked out right now for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe they're going to decide to change it a little bit, but they need to keep the ability to hack the other team in there because it keeps it forces teams to be balanced. If you have a balanced team, you'll be able to beat these teams where everyone's just using the heal. You know, because you can hack them all and they can't heal each other, they heal themselves anymore, and then you can just shoot them down. So it's like they gotta fix that. I beat Forespoken. I think I said that last week, but did I say that last week?
Did you actually? I would have probably said something to you if you said you beat that game last week. You actually finished that game?
I did finish that game. It took me about 23 hours.
Which is 22 hours longer than you should have played.
Stop it.
With that performance.
Stop it. Performance was actually good at this point. It's fixed.
They fixed
I've been playing at 1440p max settings and about like 75 to 100 frames per second. When it gets like where I'm using a ton of my abilities and it's like special effects and it's like I said special effects. When it's like lighting effects all over the place and it's explosions everywhere, it drops to 60. But up to that, like usually like 80, 90 frames per second was what I was playing at. Like the story does get better the longer you play. For me, Frey does not stop being annoying. She's still annoying, I do understand her better as like playing through the game and completing it and understanding her background and her story. I understand why she is the way she is, but that doesn't change the fact that she's an annoying protagonist. And I think that I have this, not really a theory, it's just something that I've noticed that there's a lot of like, and it's not just in video games, but it's like in movies and TV shows and in video games. I'm starting to find there's like this I don't even know if it's a trope yet, but I find that some writers don't know how to write strong women. And Frey is a strong woman. I mean, she's super powerful. But it's like you don't have to like there's this thing where it's just like a strong woman character has to be just a jerk to everyone, treating everyone poorly like that. Like I don't take any nonsense. Like you can not take any nonsense and not also treat everybody like complete garbage. And that's where I kind of feel like it's just difficult for certain writers to write that because I noticed also that like they also fail to write black people as complex characters as well, like black men, so it's just like I think it's a lack of diversity in the writing rooms, the narrative teams of these games, and they need to work on that to kind of like bring characters that are a bit more complex and not like something that's been done before multiple times to like every single time. So I mean, all that said, combat is really good. It got really, really good as I started to unlock all the abilities. And I thought the little plot twist was a bit predictable. Like I kind of saw it coming. But I mean, it's not a bad game. And I think that like, where did it get like a 60? 59, 60 something, right?
Yeah.
Metacritic.
I think it's around that. I haven't.
I would
looked
give
at
it. I would give it a 75. Like if I, when I do my reviews, and I'm not doing a review on this, but like when I do my reviews, I don't like to give. I don't like to give a final score on it because people ignore everything you said in your review and just focus in on the score. And it's like they lose all the nuance in your review and stuff. So I just give something a recommend or not recommend, and but then like that kind of forces people to know why I did that, right? Uh, but if I had to give it a score, I would say it's like a 75. It's an average game. The main character is lacking. Some of the other story aspects are pretty typical and nothing really original with the story. But the combat, I think, really sings, and the combat really helps pull its overall uh, quality further up. So I'm looking forward to the expansion that's coming out this summer. I actually have a review copy of the game. I didn't. It was given to me. Okay, so like no one for you. And so shockingly, I get the expansion with that. It was on. I got a notice when I uninstalled Forespoken. It said you have access to the expansion that's coming. I said, well, excuse me. Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna play that. Maybe I'll review the expansion. I don't know, but
Erodimus is like he thought you were talking about Horizon Forbidden West, and you were talking about
oh no no no
Forspoken.
no 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 differently. Frey may be annoying, but Frey has a personality. That's a bit different. So she has a personality. It sucks, but she has the personality. Aloy doesn't have a personality,
Oh my,
so
and I'm not gonna disagree with you.
I don't know which is worse. You can choose for yourself what you think is worse. But no and I also I guess we could roll into our first topic with this. I've been playing
Yeah, let's talk about the division, man. A lot of stuff got announced today.
yesterday.
Oh yeah, yesterday. Yeah, yesterday.
That yesterday was now what is now being deemed Division Day,
Division Day.
which is funny because Ubisoft has like treated this franchise like absolute garbage for the past 3-4 years, but whatever, right? Um, Division Day, they talked about three separate games. They talked about the Division 2, they talked about the Division Heartland, and then they talked about the Division Resurgence. There it is, yeah, which is a mobile game, and I don't care about it. So because it's mobile,
You
so
play
whatever.
it.
I'm ignoring that. I'm not playing it. Um, the Division Heartland is coming out this summer, which I if you guys watch Lunchtime with Slow Mo, I told you guys Division Heartland was coming out this summer. That's stuff that like I've already heard, and yeah, I already knew that to be a fact. They're gonna do another beta really soon, which I mean, look, it's Escape from Tarkov. So if you play Escape from Tarkov, you know what that's about. That's essentially what Division Heartland is. It's Escape from Tarkov with a Division skin. But for Division 2, they have a roadmap for the next year, which I have to say it's not. I mean, I'm impressed that they have a roadmap and that the roadmap seems somewhat interesting. And they have a new mode finally that's coming out, new content, good grief, called The Descent. And if you are on PC, you can play The Descent through their public test server, which PC players are allowed to try out newer content, newer updates for the game. They've been doing this since Division 1, and give feedback to the dev team about what works and what doesn't work, yada yada yada. So I did today got a chance to play The Descent, and I streamed it on Kick of all places.
How many people you have
So
watching?
I think the most I had was like 11 at one
Oh,
point.
that's what's up.
Yeah, I was actually shocked. It was like, look, Kick. Kick is, I think, is decent competition for Twitch, but they gotta work on some real, like, basically, like ABC's basics kind of stuff. Like, it took me an hour to get my stream going because their own instructions on how to set up the stream are incomplete and don't work. So it's
Mm-hmm.
whatever, right? But I got the stream up. I played a little X Defiant, and then I jumped into the Division, the Descent. So this is what the Descent is, right? It's basically a roguelike. You have none of your usual gear, none of the stuff that you've been grinding for. You go in with nothing, and then you just start like a roguelike, you just start getting stuff through the game and building yourself up. And but I think it's far, far too easy. Like
Mm,
I first attempt through, the way they got it set up, you choose a room and you see the difficulty of the room before you go into it. I kept choosing the hardest difficulty. I
of
wanted the
course.
challenge. And nothing was challenging. I mean, I'm just killing everybody, super easy. And I got until I got like I think I got complacent because it was so easy and I got caught off guard. But it was like I had gone through the way you would kind of look at it in the roguelike is like biomes, so to
Hmm.
speak. I had gone through 3 biomes before I finally died by accident, really, because I really was not paying attention, and I was too busy talking to the chat than really being focused on it. And when I went down, I was just like, oh man, they got me. But it was like I was already 55% of my way to the final boss of the whole thing. So, and that's solo. I wasn't even playing with other people who could have revived me and kept it going. So it was just my feedback to them is they gotta make it harder. Look, it's a roguelike. Roguelike's not supposed to be this easy. Pump up that difficulty. Like if I go to a room and it says hard, I want the room to actually be hard. Okay, I want to see some
You
some
want to sweat.
enemies with armor.
You want to sweat.
Yes,
Yeah, you
I
want to
want to
sweat.
actually feel like I'm about to die, not be like playing around with the guys before I kill them. Like
You know
it's
that's
just
contradictory to a lot of gamers, right?
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's a rogue light. Like Hades is not for the faint at heart.
You beat
Returnal,
you beat that thing a lot.
yeah, like Returnal is not for the faint at heart. You want, if you're playing a roguelike, you want it to be difficult. It's part of the enjoyment for the people who love those kind of games. I don't want it to be easy. So they gotta bump it up, man. Make it harder. And I know they're probably trying to balance that because the Division community aren't roguelike players. They're looter shooter players. But you made a roguelike. So
Yeah,
if
it
this is the
looks.
kind of mode that you're making, it needs to be more difficult than doing the raid or doing the summit or doing the factory. Like it needs to be more difficult than your other content because that's your other content isn't roguelike content, if it makes any sense.
Nope, it does. I
Yeah.
agree 100%. The incursions are something that a lot of people go in. I think it's the second expansion that's coming with the incursion inside of it. Yeah, I'd never gotten into the Division 2 as much as I was into the first one. I don't know why that is. It was just something about the build crafting, and it seems like because I see you doing builds and stuff in it all the time, and it seems like the build
Hmm.
crafting is significantly better in part two. And the systems are a lot better, and then it's easier to uh, attain items in part two because they have sources now, whereas in part one you just had to hope and pray for the best for your stuff to drop until they added some drop protection stuff in the game. But when I saw it, I was like, yeah, this actually makes me kind of interested in jumping in. I didn't even know
Well,
that
I would still say this. I have been trying. So I've been working on this one shot
the one
sniper
shot
build,
sniper build. What you trying to
which
get it
is
up to? How much damage?
I
7 million? What you trying to get up to?
I want to be able to literally one shot anybody, and I can
Is
one
that even
shot some
possible in the
bosses.
game?
With the current gear now, I think it is possible. I can one shot most random enemies, most heavies, and a good number of the bosses. Like if I run a
Hunters and
mission,
everything?
but not the hunters, not the hunt. They have too much. They have like maybe like 75 to 80 million health. So they're harder to take down. I think it's possible that I can get, because currently right now my highest is like 21 million damage in a bullet. I wanted to get it
Freaking
to 30.
insane.
If I get it to 30, I could drop even the hunters in like 3 shots. And so I want to get it to the point where I could take on most boss. Like I right now with my build, I could take on the bosses at the bosses at checkpoints and at the end of single missions. I could kill them with one bullet.
That's
I want to
crazy.
get I want to get to the point where I'm pretty much killing everything in 1 to 2 shots. But like, there's a particular exotic knee pad. Pause. I know some of y'all are like, he wants some exotic knee pads. Look, there's an exotic knee pad called the Sawyer's knee pads. Oh, sounds even worse. Look. Forget the name
Forget the
it's an
name.
exotic piece of gear, and it what it does is it doubles my. Well, eventually, it will double my damage if I sit still for 5 seconds. So if I
Mm-hmm.
never move, look, I'm sniping. So there's gonna be a good lot of times where I'm in cover, and if I come out of cover, I still haven't technically moved. But like, I mean, if I aim out of cover, I haven't technically moved. But as long as I don't move my feet, then that will work, and I can stay in one spot and just basically wipe out everybody that's around me. As long as I've been playing this game, I have never got these knee pads to drop, ever. And I've been looking online. I've been looking at the wiki. I've been looking at Reddit. Everyone that's had it drop for them it's like everyone's got a different method. Oh, I was just doing this and then I killed a boss and it dropped. I'm like, that's so random. And then I was like, oh, I've been doing this other thing. And you saw, I go to this one mission, I've got like 4 of them. And I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And I do that, all that content, and it just never drops for me. So I'm beyond frustrated at this point because it's the last piece of my build, I think, to really complete my build. And it's over a month now of me grinding like these same 3 different activities that people say it drops from, and it refuses to drop for me. So yeah, I'm frustrated. But no, I mean, when you talk about like how they have improved the way you get gear. Like now, if you're looking for, okay, look, I'm looking for these knee pads. I could go to a particular, I could go to the summit or the factory, the power plant. I could go to and I could tell it, I just want this particular kind of gear to drop. I just want a backpack to drop. I just want shotguns to drop. And it won't just drop that, but the vast majority of the loot that drops will be whatever you said you selected it for, which kind of helps people get their gear. So I do appreciate them doing that. But it's still the drop rate has to be like less than 1%. Like
That's
it's
stupid.
still really low, and I think they do that. And I've always felt this way about looter shooters. They do that because they think that you're going to quit once you complete your build. You're going to try it out. You're going to have fun doing, whatever you wanted to do with it, and then you're going to go, okay, I'm bored now. I'm gonna go play something else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they make the drop rates of the more sought after stuff so difficult to get.
I always felt like they should make it so, because this is one quality of life that Diablo did when they I forget when they added not the crafting table, but where you can, I forget where you can enchant, and you can enchant any item into like the item
Hmm.
you want, but you got to get so many of them. Like if you
Yeah.
wanted the wand of woe, which was a really super powerful wand for wizards, you just had to get 3 legendary wands, or it might have been 5. But once you hit that number, it gave you the crafting abilities to craft whatever wand you wanted. The only difference was you just had to find it one time, and
Hmm.
once you found it, you were able to craft it, and you were able to just keep crafting it until you got the roll that you wanted on it, which kind of took the RNG. Well, it still had layers of RNG on it, but you still had a direct ability to get this item. And I always felt like in the division, even if they didn't go in that direction, drop the item and make it so people have investment in that item by leveling that item up to be able to get the
You
items that
can
they
do
want out of
that. I
it.
mean, they have optimization tables where you can get your gear. You can actually change out one of
Yeah, change out one of the the
the
mod slots.
attributes. Yeah, your minor or major attributes. You can change one out. You can if it drop with low set like low weapon damage or low skill power damage, you can keep optimizing it with materials and money to get it to its max level. You can you can take a really bad roll of something and turn it to at least decent, you know.
Right.
But it's just getting it to drop in the first place is the problem.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
They should just make it a little bit more time consuming to be able to level up and change those major and minor stats, but they should make it easier to attain the weapon. So, or attain the piece of gear, because people will level and play with gear to make it better once they have it. It's just that getting it is the issue. And they're like, man, this is taking forever just to get it. And then by the time you get it, it's like, well, I got to put all this time invest, to get the parts and pieces I need to, be able to craft it to be the way I want it to be. It's like it's
right.
like a double, it's double the investment at that point. So
Yeah.
a lot of
Well, I
people
mean,
love it though.
yeah, to finish up, I think it's good to see that they got content coming out. I know a lot of people are wondering where the heck is Division 3. And I think, I'm not saying I know. I think
I think you made a test on the back end and you always say telling us.
yeah, maybe. No, but no, I think that Massive Entertainment, which is the developer for the main developer for the division, they're not working on the division right now because they've got some of the other minor, like this Ubisoft Budapest, I think is the main studio working on the division right now. They Massive is too busy. They are way too busy working on the new Avatar game that's coming out this year, and they're super busy working on the Star Wars game that they announced last year. That stuff is, what was it, maybe 2 years ago they announced the Star Wars game. Now that I think about it,
Mm-hmm.
it's they. I said this to Forte before we started the stream. Ubisoft has like 30 development studios, and I feel like none of them equal what Massive Entertainment is for Ubisoft. Their most popular game engine was created by Massive, which is the Snowdrop engine. Now, from what I've heard, they have dropped every other game engine and they're only using two engines now. That's the Snowdrop engine, and that is I forgot the name of it, but the engine that they used in Watch Dogs Legion. Those are the only game engines that they will use going forward.
Mm.
Um, every big project that they're getting licensing deals like Avatar and Star Wars, they're not trusting it with anyone else but Massive. And that's because their best game engine is Snowdrop. And part of the reason why, why Lucasfilm Film Games wanted to work with Star Wars, wanted them work on Star Wars, is they see what's possible in their game engine, and they're like, well, we want that. But it's like, it's that game engine. It's not as easy as they tried to pretend like it was to work
Right.
with, because clearly, when they put Ubisoft Budapest on the Division 2, it took them fools a full year to learn how to work the game engine and to do any content. They didn't know what the heck they were doing. So it's just like not everyone can just pick that up and use it. And what that means is that Ubisoft has got Massive overworked. And what does that mean when you got them doing all this license IP? That it means that their created IP, The Division, gets put on the back burner, unfortunately.
Yeah, and at this point, they're just trying to buy time anyway. So
Yeah.
cool. Well, Slomo, that was a great. I gave you all the love you can ever get out of the Division in that first topic because I know you love it. I love it too. I just haven't really gotten into two. It made me want to play it after seeing what they had coming because I'm kind of still new to it when it comes to the part two, and I know I have somebody I can play it with, and I know I can get you to install that thing at the drop of a hat. So
Install it. I have it installed on every platform that I own. So you just say the word
just say the word and let's go.
and we playing
We
it. Yeah.
playing. All right.
Yeah.
Well, talking about playing and investing in studios and everything like that. Moving on to the next topic, Sony has officially acquired Firewalk Studio. Now, color me crazy. I thought this already happened, but I guess it didn't.
No, they just announced
They
that
just announced a
they and
partnership.
Firewalk, yes, we're working together. So
Okay.
Firewalk Studio, they're former Bungie developers,
Bungie.
and they left Bungie, and then they did what most of these people do now when they create a studio. They say, "Hey, we used to work for X studio, so we're going to use them for clout and
Mhm. We're
and
B-tier
integrity and pedigree,
developers.
right? And but we got our own thing now, so come check us out when we finally make a game in like 4 to 5 years." And so they did that deal, and then they also announced that I think it was like in a PlayStation blog post that their first game would be an exclusive game for PlayStation.
Mhm.
So this is very similar to say, what his name? What's the name of Jay Raymond Studio? High Moon? Is that it?
Ooh, is it my moon? Mm.
Well, Jay Raymond Studio is very similar. In addition to Haven, thank you,
Haven
Sam.
Studio,
Haven,
yeah, Haven.
Haven.
What did
And
you
then there's
call it?
another one. I call them High Moon, but High
High,
Moon
High
is
Moon is
is
a Activision studio.
Activision's yeah secondary studio. All right, so yeah, and there's another one I think that's probably going to. What's the other one that's former Call of Duty devs? Which one is that? Deviation, I think.
Deviation
Yeah,
game. Yeah,
Deviation.
Deviation
See,
games.
so it wouldn't surprise me if they end up acquiring Deviation at some point. And I think it's one or two things. I think either these studios are really showing some fire content, and they're just like, bruh.
There's some leap of faiths out here, man. They taking
Yeah, they're just like, you know what? They're never going to be any cheaper than they are right
than they
now.
are right now. Yeah, that's true.
So we acquire them now instead of, having to pay, much more for them later on when, they come out with a game and now their profile's higher and maybe, hey, maybe now EA has taken notice or Microsoft has taken notice and now
The
we're in
bidding
a
war.
bidding war for them instead of just no one knows who they are. No one knows what we know about them is that they're literally this talented and the game they're making is that good. Or they're just desperate
Hmm. That's
and
a
they
good
need
one.
they need to have them under control, under their control, a firmer hand on them because we need now that we know for certain like ABK is probably going to go through. So although we have all these assurances from Microsoft they're not taking Call of Duty off of the platform. Not only do we not trust them because we just don't, but why do I want my main competitor to be the one that's selling the most games on my platform? Like forget that. Like I want to create a competitor, whether it's possible or not. I want to create a competitor that minimizes your influence and usefulness on my platform. And
Mm-hmm.
so that I think that could very well be it too. Who knows? Well, I guess we'll see when these games come out. When we finally see what these games are looking like, we'll know for certain which one of the two they are.
Yeah, that's kind of I was thinking about it too. I mean, 10 live games coming in within the next couple of years. We know that we're supposed to be hearing about at least one of them by the end of this year, whenever Sony decides to do their quote unquote showcase, which was rumored to be made. Now you got Jeff Grubb out there saying that it seems like it's rumored to be pushed to late June. Shout out to Grubb, always doing Lord's work when it comes to stuff like this. But
Man, Jeff,
Jeff
oh,
Bioli,
Jeff
man.
has been he has been under fire
Oh
this
man,
week. It's been pretty funny. I appreciate Jeff always keeping my timeline very lively.
keep it very lively, very lively. But no, I mean, I think it's a good move. I mean, it's a precedent that they set with this. Think about how much more. If you're willing to invest in something because you think it's going to hit, or you at least like the concept or the idea of it,
Yeah.
it is only going to cost you. I mean, now of course the amount that the purchase price hasn't been disclosed, because it's probably not some outrageous price. It probably isn't even. It's probably nowhere even near the $200 million that they paid for Insomniac, which was a steal
Which
in
is
itself.
a steal. That good.
It's
I
still
mean,
$200 million for that company, man. That was a
they have dropped like 3
steal.
games in 4 years. Like, they have made back their investment,
Man, they're
and
in the
then some off of
green.
them.
They could probably green like the next 3 games for that studio, and they'll still be in the green if they ain't make no more money.
Right.
That's how
Right.
crazy that deal
And they
was for
dropping
them.
another one this year.
Yeah,
I
they're dropping
mean,
another one
who
this year. Then they got one coming out probably at the end of next year, or at least within the next 2 years. Of
Wolverine. I
Wolverine,
would say Wolverine's probably
2025.
2025.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
2025.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but but think about it. We think Spider-Man's going to print money. Let this
And
Wolverine wait.
they could potentially be and just real quick, Insomniac has done VR games before. So don't be surprised if, like, at one day they say, "Hey, and then here's a VR game being made by Insomniac as well." So, because they got PSVR too. So,
That's true. Yeah. I mean,
look,
hopefully they
man,
do something like that.
they the kings out here, man.
Yeah. So, with that being said, I think it's great to see that they're heading in that direction and everything. And it's great to see that, overall they're investing. It's not making like the huge splashes that Microsoft's making in their investments, but it doesn't need to be. It just needs to make sense for them. And if they get something of quality out of it for a really cheap price, everybody gonna be looking at them like, man, look, Sony out here making deals. They see these games that they want to invest in, and guess what? They hit it on the mark once again. So it's all really matters in the end. The games that come out that people play is all that matters. So good for them, and good luck to Firewalk in the games that they're making. And it's supposed to be a multiplayer game when it comes to their games as a service. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing exactly what that's going to be too. But moving on from that, this one is kind of sad for me. Ready at Dawn. It's being reported by one of the employees or one of the developers inside the studio that they have basically released or laid off at least a third of their developers, including the studio head. And it was all kind of like cloned and like a part of the meta layoffs that happened recently. So I've always been a fan of them because I was a really big fan of Order 1886, and I've always wanted to see what would happen
I agree.
if they were
I
able to make another one of those.
I think that game is very underrated. I think
Very.
it's people was like, "Man, it's a 4-hour game." Beat that game in 4 hours, I dare you. I think most people say it's a 4-hour game, never played it.
Never
It's not a
played it.
4-hour
Yeah.
game. And yeah, look, the cover shooting is
Pretty
very
abysmal.
generic. It's generic. It's generic. And yeah, they had QTEs in the boss fights that was kind of boo. It wasn't great. But just like, I'm sorry, like, that story, the visuals, that game still looks good today.
And that was on a
This like
PlayStation 4,
decade
bro.
later. It's freaking decade later. Their game engine, fire. Their storytelling is fire. And what they've done, they're probably the only real big like AAA studio that Meta has for Oculus. And shout out to Kay Asante. He's always been a huge proponent um for for Ready at Dawn and
Mm-hmm.
the Echo games
He
that
sure
they
has
made. They
been.
made Lone Echo 1 and 2 on Oculus. I own both of them. I played the first one. It wasn't for me, but I feel bad about the state of that studio, and I think it was probably a mistake for them to be acquired. And I remember seeing. Remember, I think we may have talked about this a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was a game industry biz roundtable where they had a bunch of developers. This was like right after Microsoft had acquired Obsidian.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was the lead narrative director on The Outer Worlds was there, and she was there with the lead director for The Order 1886 from Ready at Dawn. There was another developer there from Remedy. And so really it was this was before Meta acquired Ready at Dawn. And the developer from Ready at Dawn was really interested. Like they had a very interesting conversation about being an independent studio and getting offers to be acquired and how to handle them and what does that mean for your culture. And I remember the dev for from the narrative dev from Obsidian was talking about how with the acquisition of Microsoft, they were very concerned about them changing their culture, but that hasn't happened. Everything is still the same. We are who we are,
Right.
and I thought that was really interesting, and because it seemed like the guy from Ready at Dawn was very interested in that aspect. And I know a lot of people back then saw that and immediately made the assumption that Ready at Dawn's going to go to Microsoft, and then instead they went to Meta. And I don't know what Meta told them, to get them acquired. I mean, outside of you're probably just only going to be making VR games going forward. But I'm pretty sure none of it had made any mention of, yeah, we might have to end up laying you guys off in a year or two. And it's unfortunate because it's like Meta has been dealing with, and the tech industry overall has been dealing with a lot of layoffs, but Meta in particular has been hit pretty hard. And Oculus is not performing overall as far as like hardware and software, not performing the way Meta was hoping it would. And it's sad to see a good studio lose a third of their people plus the head of the studio. I can only imagine he was probably like, I'm not laying off all these people I care about. You probably gonna
Right.
have to take me out too. They were just like, well, if that's how you feel, sorry, sorry, but you're leaving too. So it's just, I mean, it is what it is. But like, hopefully things turn around for them, or Meta takes, if you're really this hurt up and if Oculus is not going to work out for you, just sell that studio to someone that can use them. Sell them to
Facts.
Sony, and so we can get an Order 1887. Sell them to somebody so we can we can actually see quality games coming out from them. Because
Right.
yeah, I don't like to see them languish like this. It reminds me about what happened with BioWare and EA, and Visceral in EA,
Yeah, Visceral. That was a hard one right there, especially after they made such a great franchise in Dead Space to see where that actually went. And then remember they were working on a Star Wars game and that got canceled. And Amy Hennig was doing the writing for that, and
Yeah.
it was just a whole bunch of stuff that people just kind of overlook when it comes to like how this not only affects just the people, but gamers are really looking forward to some of these things because leaks happen. We didn't know that they were working on a Star Wars game until a leak happened, and then it came out that they actually were doing it. And then all of a sudden, when that game gets canceled and the studios get shuttered, we're like, well, what the heck? And
Yeah.
and some people are definitely looking at this like, I was looking on Twitter and someone was like, so does this mean I'm never going to get a sequel to the Order 1886? And I'm like, it probably does mean that. I mean, so
I mean, I from what I heard, Sony owns the IP. I'm not 100%
they
certain
can get
about that.
somebody else to make it,
They could
but
get someone else to make it, or just get like, I mean,
they could
if the
hire those
guy,
people that they shuttered.
right? I was about to say, like,
They
there's
could.
a good significant number of people who are now looking for a job. So they could
Yeah.
like, hey, grab those people, turn them into a little team,
Yep.
get them prototyping the Order 1887. But I mean, like, we as gamers would love to see stuff like that. The reality is that the Order did not review well and did not sell well. Those are two
Yeah.
things that are not going to play well with Sony, especially the not reviewing well aspect of it. There's just, even if they bought Ready at Dawn, I'm not certain we would get a sequel to the Order.
Yeah,
So
you're probably right about that. Well,
I mean, like, because if you think about it, technically, Days Gone reviewed better and sold better, and that game's not getting a sequel because it didn't review as well as you would expect
that's true.
from their first party game. So if
That
that wasn't going to happen, the Order has no shot.
yeah, that dang that is true, unfortunately. All right, well, with that, moving on from one studio that everybody had a game that a lot of people did beloved to another studio and company that has a lot of a lot of games that people loved. Frank O'Connor has it looks like he's officially left Microsoft, so he's no longer at 343 or Microsoft. And then we also have that in conjunction with, we know Joseph Staten left 343 late last year, and went back to Microsoft proper. He's working on, he's like the hired gun for them. Now it looks
Mhm.
like he even left Microsoft and he is on his way to Netflix to be the creative director of a unannounced AAA game that they are working on with Netflix, newest gaming studio that they formed. Um, so the question I have for you, Slomo, is what? Okay, so in general, how
Right,
does? Go
real
ahead.
quick.
Go ahead.
Are we certain Joseph Staten is working with a brand new studio they've created, or is
We
he just
don't.
working with Netflix?
We just know
Because
he's working with
okay,
Netflix,
I
and
have a theory.
yeah.
I have a theory on that. So uh, let's tackle it like this. So one, not every not every time an executive or someone who is known to work at a developer leaving is a doom and gloom.
Right.
Um, Clearly Frank O'Connor for those in the know, Frank O'Connor leaving is great.
It's great.
The guy sucks, and then look, I know we try to be very fair here on DPS podcast, but I'm not. I think I'm being fair with this guy by saying he sucks. He got banned on multiple gaming message boards for saying comments that were at
Right.
racial comments. I think he should have been fired off of that. But he still somehow kept his job protected by previous 343 leadership.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people who used to work at 343 that do not feel that Frank was an asset to the developer or to the IP that he was franchise director over. It was Frank's idea to think that, hey, we don't need anybody who used to work at Bungie here working on
I
Halo, an
remember that.
IP that Bungie created.
I remember
Frank,
that.
I'm glad he's gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, he was one of the few that like I just like I kind of felt like a cancer that needed to be expunged before that studio could really
Start to
see the
heal.
light, start to heal, and start to really make great content. Um, and with all that said, like, good luck to him. Good luck wherever as long as he's not working for a studio I care for.
Right.
I'm happy. Now, Joseph Staten, I was not happy about leaving because I felt like Joseph, and this is clear. Look, some of the stuff I'm going to say is speculation, and some of it's stuff that I know for certain from people who were in the know told me. But what I would say is that I felt like Joseph never got the opportunity to do with Halo Infinite what he wanted to do with it. I do not think he was just there to ship the game and move on. I think that was clearly what his roles were with other games like Crackdown, but people are now have taken what his role was on different projects and made and pretended like that's what his role was here at Halo Infinite. It's a little revisionist history going on. Um, it's no surprise that his leaving 343 coincided with massive layoffs with 343. The entirety of the narrative team was laid off. Joseph, for his work, I mean, for the primarily, the amount of work that he's done in gaming has been narrative based. He wrote the story for Halo Infinite, Halo Combat Evolved. He did a lot of the narrative stuff for Halo 2. He, before it got uh chopped and screwed, wrote the original story for Destiny 1. Like this is like that's the kind of work that he does. And so for the narrative team for 343 to be laid off, yeah, you're not working on the campaign any further. And so it's no shock that at that point it's time for him to move on. And we've seen this we've seen this with Microsoft before, where a executive is demoted or essentially they've been removed from their role because they were not performing. And typically they get put in a different position. And then not long after being put into a different position, they leave. The previous director before Joseph Staten on Halo Infinite, Chris Lee, that's exactly what happened to him. He got put into a different position and then he left. He was not the first director on Halo Infinite. There was another guy who was director. He got put into a different position and then he left. This is like the woman who said the racial comment that was running Mixer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember.
They shut down Mixer. They put her in a different role and then she left. This is how it works. Or you're like Bonnie Ross, where you just announce your retirement.
I remember
leave.
you said that. You was like, does anybody get fired from Microsoft?
No, they don't. They don't. What was the woman that made the comment that pissed a lot of Xbox gamers off about like mature games? Shannon Loftus.
Yeah, Shannon Loftus.
Shannon Loftus was on Twitter
They moved to the
speaking
world's
in a
edge.
manner, speaking in a manner that was not becoming of Xbox leadership. You know, they on good spicy on Twitter, and she I think she called somebody fat or ugly or something like that. I can't remember the exact words. But after that, Twitter account deleted. Next thing we know, Shannon gone. No one knows where she is. She resurfaces. She's running World's Edge.
Yeah, running World's Edge Studio.
And
Retired from there.
And as soon as they shipped that Age of Empires game, retired.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Microsoft way. We don't straight up fire you, but we will reassign you, let you find your footing, let you get a job somewhere else. We don't want to ruin your chances of ever working in this industry again, but you gotta get up out of here. And so
crazy.
I see very similar with Staten, where he goes back to his old role, and within 3 months, he's now creative director at Netflix. It's the same old, same old. Now, in regards to him working at Netflix, I'm very interested in how that's going to turn out because Netflix is, I mean, they make TV shows and they make movies.
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot of original content. He's got a lot of resources at hand for himself as far as narrative wise, having a team of people that but they may be well versed at like writing stories for movies and TV shows, but then maybe he can help them, guide them to doing that in a game format, because it's going to be a little different, to make it compelling for games, but not impossible, of course. And then what I would love, and the reason why I made the big well, Rodman said they fired the HoloLens guy. That HoloLens guy, if for those who know what that HoloLens guy did, yeah, they had to fire him. They couldn't reassign that dude. He needed to get fired. So anyway, back on topic. We don't know which team, because Netflix, before this, Netflix over the past year and a half have acquired 5 studios, including Night School Studio, which is not on one of the topics list here, but Night School Studio has made in the past Oxenfree, which is a very good game, After Party, which kind of sucks, and another game called Nowhere. Next Stop Nowhere, which is an Apple Arcade exclusive. I haven't played it, so I can't say it to the level of quality of that game. But Night School Studio has been working on Oxenfree 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oxenfree 2 was supposed to come out last year. Netflix acquired them, and then their Oxenfree 2 got delayed. Now, so before, when Oxenfree 2 was supposed to come out, it was supposed to come out on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and Switch. When they got acquired and game got delayed, this week we find out Oxenfree 2 is coming out in July, and it's going to be on PlayStation. It's going to be on Switch. It's going to be on PC, and it's going to be on Netflix through streaming. But it's no longer going to be on Xbox. Weird, right? Now, it wouldn't surprise me if Joseph Staten is prototyping a game, and when Oxenfree 2 comes out, hits gold, Night School Studio would be the team that he's working with to make his new game. Because although they have never made a AAA game before. All their games have been like 1A or AA. But unlike the other studios that Netflix has under their belt, those other studios have only released games in mobile. Whereas Night School Studio have released games on all platforms before. So there's a lot less that Joseph has to teach them in order to help them get a AAA game out in a timely manner. It would make sense that like the more experienced development team under Netflix's belt is the team that's Joseph is working with. So, yeah, that's what I got.
Aronimus said, "I know one thing: Joseph Staten's new game won't be coming to Xbox."
Nope, it sure won't. It's going to be on. Expected to be on all the platforms the Oxenfree 2 is on. So everything but Xbox. And I do think that's somewhat of I know people disagree with me on Twitter, but I think that's more to do with Netflix looking at like Xbox, xCloud, and Game Pass as direct competition to what they do. They have a subscription service. Their gaming will be all streaming based, cloud based, and they see Game Pass and Xbox as competition. So they don't really mind it being out on PlayStation, especially considering PlayStation has a huge player base. They don't mind Switch because Nintendo has a huge player base, and PC's not a problem. Everything drops on PC. But you Xbox? I think we might.
Cass said people disagree with you on Twitter. No way.
I know, right? Like it's a everyday occurrence. They never admit when they're wrong though, which is great.
Oh,
but
Arcade said is Friday the new day.
No, this is a one-time thing. Arcade.
Yeah, family stuff came first, so we had to take care of that type of stuff in the community. So yeah, we'll be back to Thursday next week on Slow Mo's channel. Yeah, but when it comes to this, I'm not gonna lie. O'Connor should have been gone a long time ago.
Yes, he should
Ain't
have.
nobody gonna miss him. I keep forgetting. Like, I almost put him out of, like, I forgot he was even there. Like, because he is so insignificant to everything that's happening with that game. And it just felt like Joseph, when he was there, just put him in the corner and said, "You just stay there and do nothing. Just do nothing." But Joseph leaving is I'm not gonna say it hurt, because I do think he didn't have a chance to like really truly implement what he wanted to do with Halo Infinite, because it was still on a tight deadline. Microsoft still wanted it to come out in the time period it came, and I think he did all he could. You can see a lot of the changes that he did narratively inside the game. I think that story was probably a little bit more convoluted than it actually ended up being, that we ended up getting. So I think he saved that kind of part of it. I mean, nothing was going to save the multiplayer side of it, just because of, input legacy and stuff like that. But I think he did the best he could with the time that he had. But this is like the same thing I was like telling people a long time ago. The game needed longer than a 1 year delay, and we're starting to see that even now there's things going on with that game that are kind of unacceptable, but people just deal with it because they know that it's like you know what it is, but you enjoy playing the game. And Slow-Mo can definitely attest to this because he still plays it. It's like, it has problems, but the problems at this point, you're like, yeah, they're problems, but I kind of become numb to them unless they are egregiously bad. Like, every once in a while they do get in that game, but for the most part, it's a serviceable game. So I do think he did good there. But when it comes to like him moving to Netflix, good for him. Go get the bag. Go help and forge a new direction for yourself in whatever studio that you're going to be working with when it comes to what they're going to do. Because in my opinion, Bungie did you a disservice by cutting, chopping, screwing up your story, and look where it is now. I mean, they're finally getting to the crescendo of what's going on with Destiny, but this is probably could have got there 5 or 6 years earlier if they wouldn't have did what they did to the story and basically wanted to change everything. And I feel like, he has a very good mind. I like what he did with the Halo franchise, and I'm looking forward to see what he does in the near future. Because I do think Crackdown, I really did like Crackdown 3. I think it was a fun game. I also know that game had a lot of problems. When they first started talking about it, showing it, and everything just looked terrible. Not terrible, but the performance was all over the place, and it was just really wonky and stuff. And he got that game out the door, and it actually, a lot of people really liked it. So that's all you can really ask for. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what he does over there with Netflix, and just knowing that in general they're willing to put money up to say, let's go out here and make this AAA game, something brand new for people to see. And it's going to be produced and funded by Netflix. It's kind of crazy, but I do want to see exactly what's going to happen with that. So that's the thing I'm looking for. I just want to see him finally get a fair shake at something from beginning to end, because the last two things that he started on, the last two things he finished, he didn't even start on them, which is crazy for the type of person that he is when it comes to like his knowledge and his mind when it comes to, especially to the story element stuff of it. What's up, Brap? How you doing, bro? Let's see. Robinson says Jeffy said once that the new game ideas are coming from young creators, and they are. They definitely are, because it's not even that they're coming from young creators. They're coming from just developers that want to try something new, because a lot of these publishers want to keep it safe. Like Microsoft, they want to keep it safe. So as much as these developers can go to their publisher and say, I have this idea of this, and I have this idea of this really cool concept of a game, you have to get that funded. But these companies are like, no. Take-Two is like, no. Make Grand Theft Auto 6. No. Make Red Dead Redemption. Make NBA 2K27. Make this. Make that. Make a successor to BioShock. Something that's in the same realm of that. You know, we're not gonna. They want to do everything in a manner where they know that it's like a no-brainer.
And this
And
is why you get innovation from indies, because indies
exactly.
don't have a big publisher over there. Plus, the scope of their game design is much smaller. But like they will try something that's out of a little out of the norm, and a great idea, whether it gets executed or not, who knows? But they'll try that because they have that need for innovation, and a lot of them come from big published, big, huge AAA development teams where they got tired of counting pixels and pushing the visual fidelity, but not necessarily pushing game design and trying new things. But basically, just when you go, and from what I've heard this from multiple developers before, when you go into the room and you're pitching an idea, the first thing that the people who make who decide on that decision say is, well, can you give me an example of this working before? Because they're not gamers. They are just business people who don't really care about how innovative your idea is. They're not going to play it. And they just want to make sure that they're not wasting their money on a worthless investment. So the first thing they say is, when has this worked before? Or say, are you muted?
Oh, I am. Why would I mute it? It muted me for some reason. Oh, duh. Um, what
You muted yourself?
I did by accident. I hit the key by accident. But what I was going to say, Rodimus was talking about how Cliffy B was 26 when he came up with Gears, and he sold Gears of War to
Wait,
Microsoft.
hold on. Texas, are you eating?
No,
Oh, okay. Texas is not eating. Stop it.
no, I'm not
Okay, go
eating.
ahead.
I wish I was eating. I came straight here from work to do this. I'm gonna eat after this though. But so
Okay, go. Cliffy B was 26. Go
yeah,
ahead.
26 when he came up with the idea for Gears of War. He sold that to Microsoft because it was a great game. It was a great idea. But you know what sold it to fans before the game even came out? That man walked on E3 stage with that Lancer with a chainsaw on it, and people saw that for the first time, and it is like a visual representation of this kid with this giant gun with a lance with a chainsaw on the end of it. Was the first thing that they saw about Gears of War, and then they showed the trailer because it was like, oh my god, it was like this bigger than life thing. Like, people don't realize how big, like, that made Cliffy B like a rock star when he did that. Like, there's pictures of him all over the internet with just him holding that Lancer at E3 on his back, and it was crazy. So marketing is definitely one of the biggest things, but being able to pitch and sell something to people was really, really cool. And he can't even finish a complete sentence. Shut up, Texas. What, you reading too much? I'm not eating, Texas. Trust me, I'm not eating.
At this moment, you're not.
I will be later. Not at this moment.
But I mean, we can move on.
Yeah, we
Get
can.
on to the topic that everyone seems to be talking about.
Oh, that topic. Yeah, let's talk about let's talk about Hi-Fi Rush. So, was this earlier today? This was earlier today, right? When this came out, or was this yesterday? I think
This was last night. It
so.
was
It was
last
last
night.
night. I was saying it was last night
Because it was on their
on the Game Mess.
podcast.
On Game Mess.
Yeah, Game Mess.
Yes.
Yeah.
So shout out to Jeff Grubb once again. Him and Mike. What's Mike's last? I forget Mike's last name. Minotti. Shout out to them. They Game Mess, great show. They both been on this show, and it's thank you for coming on. And
we gotta get them back someday, but it's like they got a show at the same time we got a show, so it's a little difficult.
Yeah, we'll just move a day. We'll move for them. But yeah, so they did their show and they were talking about Game Pass and talking about just the direction of it, and they were talking about Hi-Fi Rush and how it was a stealth drop and how in general they felt like it didn't get the due love and success that it should have gotten, because Mike said this is like one of his favorite games of the generation so far. And he felt like it didn't get the love and support that it should have got because it was stealth drop. And then Jeff Grubb proceeded to say that he heard that game did not do as well as people think it did on the back end. Now, this is Jeff Grubb saying.
No, he said it didn't make the money.
It didn't make the money
thought
it would make.
Yeah.
And now we all know when Jeff Grubb speaks, people listen. So people out there writing articles. Jez goes on Twitter and retweets and talks about it. And then in comes Lord Aaron Greenberg with his marketing degree. And he's talking about how, no, we are very, very happy with the direction that we got, the acclaim that we got from Hi-Fi Rush. They said the stealth drop, they were very proud of Tango Gameworks and the work they put into it. They said the game has exceeded all the metrics and expectations that were measured for that game, especially with it being a stealth release. And he said, so he's basically refuting that the game didn't do well. Now, the question I have for you,
but what metric?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Aaron basing it off of.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the question I have for you. What
that's the problem that we have with Xbox overall when it comes to like measurables. Because of course we already know that they value monthly active users, engagement, and Game Pass subscriptions over like just straight up software sales. But what metric do you measure a stealth launch from? Like what were your expectations is what I mean. And I think that like we really don't know. I mean, we don't know that right now. We don't know what they felt was internally the game should have done or should have did. And we still don't know that right now. And basically just gotta take Aaron for his word. And you're going to get people that are going to be like, well, Aaron has also said that 60 FPS is the standard for Xbox going forward.
You sure did.
And here we got Redfall launching at 30 FPS. Aaron has said things that people would say have, not turned out to be fully true or whatever you want to say, right? So you're free to take him for his word if you want. Me personally, you stealth launched the game and then you didn't do, I would say, very much marketing of the game post-launch. Anyway, I think it was more of word of mouth and good high, favorable reviews and critical and public praise that really kept the game really going post-launch. And not necessarily great marketing from Bethesda or Xbox. So, frankly, I think it did about as good as it possibly could do.
True. Let's see. Erodimus says, why do gamers need to know about all the metrics? I feel like it's because it was brought up in a public forum where he's trying to dispute something that somebody else said. And I'm not trying to say that he has to go out of his way to lay out the whole bottom line of how Hi-Fi Rush did, but like, it seems like the more cookie cutter answer is when they want to refute something, they do it with they try to like not belittle, but say, no, that's not true. But then on the other end, they're also saying that, oh, and we're also very proud of the studio and what they made. Like, we know you're proud of what the studio made. It's like you're almost embellishing the truth to try to deflect more of what's happening on the back end of it. And I'm not saying that Hi-Fi Rush did not do great at all. I think it did do good for what their expectations of the title was, but it makes you kind of think when they start talking about the things the way that they talk about them. It's like, well, we know that you appreciate the studio. We know that you are very, very proud of what they did, because if you weren't, you wouldn't have released it in Game Pass day and day. But then again, you never know, because Microsoft also did release a buggy mess that was broken for an entire year before they fixed it so they could sell mugs. But neither here or there. It's
Hey, real quick,
yeah.
check your messages, your text messages.
My text messages.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. I will say that, like, I do think that sometimes I feel like Xbox expectations are far different than the expectations that us gamers have. Our expectations for a game, or what we expect from their first party, seems to be a bit of a difference. So Hi-Fi Rush is a high quality game. Like, even though it's a rhythm game, a rhythm combat game, and it wasn't really for me. I can respect that. But
How far did you get in that game? Did you beat it?
no, I didn't finish it. I mean, I didn't really. It's some games are quality games, but you can recognize they're a quality game, but it's not for you.
Oh, I
Like,
agree with that. I didn't finish
you're
it
not
either.
enjoying it.
I didn't finish it either. I agree.
But what I think is that, like, although that game was a quality game, it's kind of niche, and it's not like people are like, I can't wait to play another rhythm combat game. Like, like,
Yeah.
so it's like it was never really going to be like a system seller, revolutionary kind of game that everyone goes, oh my god, like, wow, this is what we've always wanted kind of game. So, but that said, this kind of goes back to what I said about Pentiment last year. So Pentiment also is a niche game in a niche genre. It's an RPG, but it's not like your action RPGs or even turn-based RPGs. It's point and click RPG. And it's not super popular, but a passion project, right? So they allow these things to go, and no problem. Look, I enjoy Pentiment, so I ain't got no issue with it. But it almost seemed to me like they didn't like Pentiment, because at one point before Pentiment came out, this was like less than a week or two before it was coming out. The Xbox account had only one tweet about Pentiment, and it was in response to Obsidian's tweet about Pentiment. And it's just like, yo, social media is free. Like, you don't even have to spend money to market it on Twitter.
That's
What
true.
you're not even trying. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know what's going on internally there, why things are so off. I mean, you market Redfall. Everything you show of it is running at 60 frames per second. You're gonna release the game without a 60 frame per second mode at a time period where it's a very, very busy, crowded 2023. Something that we need to understand about games, right? Something that we always need to understand about release windows in games. Fixing a game later on doesn't guarantee that the people who were interested in your game at launch will be there to play it later on.
True.
A lot of times games will forever be living with a review of what the game was at launch and where the game is later on is nowhere like that. Oh, this game doesn't have content. It's got content. If you play it now, it's got content, but it didn't have that content then. It missed the boat. And it would be unfortunate if that's Redfall. Like, because we don't know when the 60 frames per second mode is coming out.
Couple months.
Oh, well, you don't know that, but you assume, right?
That's what I'm assuming.
So it comes out in May. If it takes a couple of months for it to come out, that's July. Then you got to deal with other games that are coming out in July.
Yep.
If it takes longer than that, now you're getting into really dicey territory because now you got to deal with games coming out in August. If it takes longer than that, September, you're dealing with Starfield. And now, like, you don't want to launch it near Starfield. That's, now your own games are cannibalizing each other. But you also got to deal with Spider-Man 2. And it's just, I know that's probably like something that they have had to discuss in regards to choosing to release the game at 30 FPS anyway. But it's just, delayed this game a year already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is this stuff not... How is like expectations of what people expect from this game, which is fully understandable. It's a first-person shooter. First-person shooters in 2023 should be at 60 frames per second, period. It's the same like with playing a racer. And no one wants to play a racer at 30 FPS, right? but like, it's just, these are the things that we're dealing with. And then with Hi-Fi Rush, you stealth launched it. It was a good stealth launch.
Great stealth launch.
But again, about what your measurements are, what your expectations are they what everyone else's is? I don't know,
That's yeah. It was one of the few games that ran really well too, and that's one thing I will say about that game. I didn't have any performance issues. I played it on Xbox. I played it on PC. Not a issue whatsoever with that game, and it was very enjoyable. A little bit of, because I didn't beat it, but it was fun. I played like the first, I think, 4 levels of it, and a lot of people really, really love and enjoy the game, which is cool. I just think at a certain point, people need to just because a game, okay, there's been games that I played, I think we all have. There's been games that we have all played that has spoken to us that didn't speak to anybody else. There was games like one game that I remember, it was called Ninja Blade. It was on Xbox 360. It's like a generic Ninja Gaiden game. And I just like, I want to try this because I like ninjas, I like swords, I like all the quick time events is everything. It was like a 12-hour game, somewhere in that realm. And I remember looking on IGN and it got like a 6 out of 10 or something. But I just said, I'm about to play it anyway and check it out. And I had so much fun with that game. And I will always remember, because those are the games that kind of stand out to me, because I was like, man, that game was so fun, but everybody think it sucks. Even games like Wanted on 360 and PS3, or based on a movie, or Wet, where you played as the female assassins with the katanas and stuff. Those were games that didn't score well, that I really, really, really enjoyed, really loved, and that's back in my achievement hunting days. I used to play like 3-4 times going through them just to make sure I got everything. And this probably all sounds foreign to Slow-Mo, because he's like, wait a minute, Forte, you actually used to play a bunch of games back then? This was all before Destiny, man. Everything went down the rabbit hole when Borderlands and Destiny came out. But I really enjoy stuff like that. So sometimes I think people just need to just say, hey, if I enjoyed the game, I enjoyed the game. And not really care about what everybody else says about, like, oh, it was this and oh, it was that, and it was like AA at best. Well, if it was good to you, great. I don't need Aaron Greenberg to come out and tell me like Hi-Fi Rush did great. I just need him to come out and say, hey, here's another game that's coming out and hitting Game Pass, or here's another game that you're gonna enjoy that's coming to the Xbox ecosystem or the family. That's all I need to hear from them, really. But that's kind
Or if you're going to say it did great, bring some context to it. So
right.
like we feel Hi-Fi Rush did great because we expected to get uh um we expected to have a X number of concurrent players playing the game in the first week, and we exceeded that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a measurable that I can say, okay, I know what you value when you talk about what is you consider a success, and that's one of your measurables. Cool. Like usually, like when you see any other developer or publisher talk about the success of their games, and everyone else really kind of considers success as like, sales. And so
Sales,
when they
right.
say, "Hey, man, X game did," like when WB Games was talking about how great Hogwarts Legacy did earlier this year, they didn't just say, "Hey, look, it did great," and that's it.
Yeah.
No, they was like, it did great. It sold this many copies, and people could take that number and then compare that to other games that sold great. Man, it's outpacing Elden Ring last year.
Right.
Man, it's doing this XYZ. So then when you saw stuff like they're making a Hogwarts TV show for HBO Max, you're like, oh, that makes sense. The game did so great.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's fine for them to have different measurables of what is successful to them. That's fine. No one is. I mean, no, there are clearly people who disagree with that, but that's really just them taking their own opinion and saying, "Well, I don't like how you view this," but that's their money and that's their choice to view what they consider it to be a successful game and or not. And if software sales ain't it, then it ain't it.
Right.
That said, when you tell us something is a success, I'm gonna expect to actually see you measure that with what you consider to be successful.
Right. And I think
And when you still kind of hide all those things, then like, people of course are going to be skeptical.
mm-hmm. As they should be, especially when you're in a ecosystem where people want to know your opinions on things, and maybe that's probably what the biggest difference is. People, when you go back to the question that Rodimus asked earlier, why do we need to see the metrics and stuff? It's like, well, we have a podcast, we're very boisterous in our opinions on stuff. So we want to know all the context behind what you're talking about, because we want as much information as possible. Now, do we deserve to have that information? Well, that's Microsoft's decision to say, but you also can't be mad at when you don't have all the information, but you're still going to still have an educated opinion about stuff, because there is a difference. If you don't have the information, you can at least have an opinion that's formulated and grounded in an educational thought, because we all went to school here for the most part, and everybody kind of knows the difference between what's fact and what's fiction. And I do think a lot of people live in fiction when it comes to their opinions and stuff, but in general, that's mostly it. But that's not all the stuff that's going on with Xbox. Xbox, as much as Hi-Fi Rush did great, we always want to see new games. And Tango Games Work is in a partnership and working with InXile on a new AAA game that's coming. No details really that I've seen on anything, but we do know that this is something that is happening. What do you think this could be, Slow-Mo?
I th- I think it might be an RPG,
That's what I was thinking too.
but more of an RPG that isn't really
Not,
not like In Exile has done, isometric RPGs before.
yep, like
It
RTS and
seems
stuff.
Yeah, it seems like ever since they got acquired that they're still willing to do RPGs, but they're more willing to take chances now
Hmm.
and not just do what was safe when they needed to, when they need to keep the lights on. So I've seen Fargo, who I like Fargo a lot. I like how candid he is and how he speaks about the game industry. And I feel like he's educational in some ways, like how he was instrumental in to me in defining what is double A and what's triple A. Because like literally, like these terms are all about gaming budgets. It's not about people make it about what they want it to be about, but it's not about anything else but the budget of the game. And it's a Western uh publisher and developer studio philosophy. Really, like you don't really see uh Eastern studios bringing that up too often, but always remember Fargo talking about that, like it, he actually put a number on when a game is no longer double A but becomes triple A. I think he said it was like 26 million in budget, where once you go north of that, it's now triple A. And I just like, I just like his thoughts on a lot of things. But I also recall him talking about how you like he will drop little hints like you guys are gonna be surprised about our next game, stuff like that, and it's just like okay, all right, so like they're definitely moving out of their comfort zone, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to make any other isometric RPGs in the future, but that's not all they're going to do, which is awesome. So, like I said, I do think it probably would still be an RPG because that's what they're good at. But it might be like maybe action oriented, or it might have some other elements that are something that you would expect from Tango. But also, Tango also isn't just doing horror games now too. We see that with Hi-Fi Rush. So I think they might be working on something that both of them haven't quite done before. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing what it turns out to be,
Did you play Wasteland 3 or anything?
I started Wasteland 3 and I liked it, and I just got so busy with other games and never finished it. But I actually was thinking about Wasteland 3 earlier this week and thinking about picking it back up and finishing it off. So I mean it's a good RPG. I like it.
Yeah, I remember sitting in a party with Addict for like a couple of days in a row that he was playing, and he was, man, that man was so enthralled. He gets enthralled with a lot of games that he plays, but I remember being the party, that man would barely talk. All he was doing was grinding out. I remember Cognito. Cognito's really into those type of games too. So it's really interesting just to see the partnerships, how they're growing, like, organically. And I do think that the more that Microsoft studios get more familiar with each other, you're going to see partnerships like this all over the place. One of the ones that people really want to see the most is when it comes to it working on Halo. Everybody talks about that one all the time. Like, can we get some type of partnership where we get some type of it crossover with 343, even though 343 is still going to be basically in charge of the Halo franchise and everything. So I'm just looking forward to more and more of these partnerships happening. I do agree. I do think it's going to be some type of RPG. Now, is it going to be like a marriage between RTS and RPG? Who really knows? But I think in general, that's what everybody's kind of just looking forward to, just something new. I think in general, we just need to see more games. And especially if you got studios working in partnership, that means we can get these games a little bit faster, and people are going to really, really enjoy what they hopefully get from them.
I just want to shout out to the homie Jeff Grubb is in the chat.
Uh-oh.
I don't think Jeff mad at us or anything. But Jeff says, I'm glad Aaron said what he said. I don't think it exactly debunks what I said, but it is wild that everything I said became about dunking on Hi-Fi Rush. That was nuts, which is true. And that's how this gaming community is. People take something that like I listened to like the entire like segment that both Jeff and Mike had, and I didn't take it like what me personally listening to that, I didn't take it where they took it. Well, when I say they took it, a lot of the fanboys that some of them we know they're trolling, and then some of them we know they're not trolling. They're just literally like brainless who think this way. But like they take it to the it's a Hi-Fi Rush is a massive failure, and it's just like.
I don't think he said that. I
Yeah.
was listening to the stream, but he didn't say that. He just said that
Right.
it didn't like Yeah, it's just weird how they just spin your words and how you say everything. But then that's the other thing. Gamers then when gamers get a latch and they latch onto it, it turns into his own little thing. And then that's when Aaron's got to come out there and say, whoa, 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 whoa. It ain't like that. This is how it is. And then it becomes this whole pissing match that makes, oh my God, it makes no
Yeah.
sense, man.
As well as the other part where Jeff was saying, I can't remember exactly about like things with Xbox and people not like liking where things were. I can't remember. I don't want to. I don't want to misquote him. But it's just like it seems like people don't care about misquoting. It's just like it literally is like whatever people can piece together. They can literally take you out of context and then run with a narrative based off of that. And you literally have to be careful, especially when people know you are someone that is always speaking to people in the know. When you broke multiple stories, when you've said things that have come true enough times, where literally every time you speak, it's like, is he leaking something? And they like literally right before he said that he said, "Now I don't know if this is true or not, but what I think, blah 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 blah." And then the next thing you know, there's like 5 articles the next day saying Jeff Grubb said, or whoever leaker said that this game's coming out in March, and it's like, bruh, like he literally said right before that that he doesn't know, but this is his opinion, and it's just like people don't they're gonna latch onto whatever narrative they want, so you really just can't fortunately do anything about it. But it's the thing is that what we try to do here is not really like care about the fanboy narrative stuff. We'll listen to what we hear from what people are saying, and then look at like Aaron Greenberg's response and just call it what it is. The very start of the conversation, I said, people are going to take Aaron Greenberg's statement as fact, and some people are going to say, oh well, we've seen Aaron say certain things and then they not turn out to always be the way they were, therefore I'm not going to take him for his word this time too. And that's, people are free to feel however they want about it. You can choose to believe him or not, but like it's the camps, you know how people will take things, those who will listen and those who won't. And I do kind of agree that, like, as I said before, if you just look at what he said with Aaron, usually when it comes down to here, this was a success, and it was a success because it did XYZ. And we know that they don't care about software sales as much as the other publishers and platforms do, but they care about monthly active users, they care about engagement, they care about subscriptions. And if Aaron added into his statement, it met the expectations that we expected of it because it did this, then hey, what can you say? That's exactly what they expect. And people are, I know today people are bringing up, well, Tango Gameworks is now hiring more people. Awesome, they should be. They're a studio that's growing, and they make quality games as they always have. So of course they're growing. I know the whole flip side of it is we people have been, ever since it came out, because it came out the same week as Forespoken. There has been this tug of war between particular camps in regards to Forespoken and Hi-Fi Rush, and it's like they're not even the same kind of game. They're not like one. They like this comparisons for them has been really bad on both sides, because in the beginning it was like, oh, Hi-Fi Rush is outselling Forspoken on Steam. And then the other side goes, well, Forspoken is charting and Hi-Fi Rush hasn't charted. And it's just like, bruh. Oh well, Tango Gameworks is growing, and what's the name of it? Luminous Productions don't even exist
They don't
anymore.
even
It's just
exist
like,
no more.
I'm just like, why are we doing this? Like, why are y'all? It's just there's these whataboutisms, and well, let's compare it to this, and it's silly. It's just freaking silly.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, back to what we were talking about with In Exile and Tango GameWorks team up. I think that honestly, I hope we see more stuff like that.
Yep.
I would love to see Obsidian team up with Bethesda and give us another Fallout New Vegas, which some people have rumored is happening. There's a Fallout New Vegas 2 that's I can't remember. There was something that like someone saw somewhere that showed like a something official that was like it was a title of something that was like Fallout New Vegas. Although I'm not quite certain I believe that, because usually when something is in development, it's got like a project name, and it's not necessarily like, hey, it's Fallout New Vegas 2. It's gonna be like Project Dookie or something, like it's not like the actual name. But I would love to see more stuff like that. I would love to see the coalition, instead of just teaching everyone else how to use Unreal Engine, get to collaborate with another developer that's under their umbrella and make something cool. It is it that I think they have so many studios now, like 25,
Yep.
24, 25 studios.
25, and there will be 32 in the near future.
Team up with studios that do things that you don't do well. You know, like what if Ninja Theory teamed up with, I don't know, Compulsion, or teamed up with Obsidian, let Obsidian write the story and Ninja Theory do the combat. Just like you have the all these people under your umbrella, and it's extremely unique considering the diverse talents that are there, like Double Fine and stuff like that. I mean, I'm fairly certain, considering how hands off they are, that it's really up to them. It will have to be something organic to just be like, one studio head just calls up another and say, hey, you got some bandwidth with some people to work on something.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, like I'm saying, I like to see things like that, and I hope they do more of that in the future.
I agree. Well, sir, we survived another episode of the Damage Per Second podcast. With that being said, I do want to say this, and for myself and the rest of the 10%ers, we know you've been going through a lot over the last couple of weeks, and it's never a good thing, or it's never an easy thing to basically have to, lose family members or anything like that. But just wanted you to know that love and support has always been there throughout the last couple of weeks with you, man. And we're always here if you need us, because you're part of the family, and I love you, and we all love you too. We're just glad that everything's you're doing better, you're feeling better about everything, even though it's not gonna be great, but we're just here to always support you, man. So I'm happy to have you here with me today, and I'm happy to know that this chapter is going to continue writing itself with us. And I appreciate everything you bring to the show and everything you do for us too. Okay, bro?
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, and all the condolences that you guys have been giving me over the past week and a half. I appreciate that as well.
Yeah.
We'll get back to our regularly scheduled time and regularly scheduled everything else, starting after this week. But I do appreciate you guys, and it's good to know people care. So
Yeah.
again, thank.
Shout out to the Real Big Rich with the $5 super chat. He says, wanted to support content creators of color. Keep doing your thing. Listen,
Awesome.
man, appreciate
Thank you.
it, man. All the love and support support everybody out here, man. Not just us. There's a lot of people out here doing a lot of good work, and is very unappreciated when it comes to just the support that people give everybody. So, even if it's a like, a retweet, anything, sharing their content, do what you can. That's all that really matters in the end, because you never know, your retweet could be the one that someone else sees that blows it up to being bigger than it ever would have been. So always keep that in mind. And with that being said, guys, shout out a couple of you because we didn't shout anybody out at the beginning. You know, Lucis Augustus was here. Rodham is always here. Jeff Grubb, really appreciate you coming through. Definitely get you back on the show. Dorian Gray, appreciate you coming through. Texas, always a homie. He's always here. Apex, you know, just a lot of great people. PS Rewind, really appreciate you too, bro. We'll be here next week for episode 30 on Slow Mo's channel. Like he said, Thursday at
1:30. You said 30.
30. Yeah, episode 130 of the DPS podcast. Shout out to Big Matt Mo, he was here too. Slow Mo, pull up your list of people, and then we can get up out of here.
All right, give me a second.
And And with that being said, guys, definitely got a couple streams coming up. We definitely need to, me and Slow-Mo need to play this Returnal. He got me out here buying it, and we ain't even played it yet.
When do you have time to play anything?
That's a good. I haven't had time. Yeah, you're right.
And when do you hit me up to say?
That's, you know what, that's fair. That's fair. You're right. That's fair.
I know it's fair.
That's fair. That's very fair. I'm about to slander you, and I have no right to, because you're absolutely right. All right, shout out to the channel members on this channel. We got DFlex27. We got Dragonheart Yobi, Stardust Cicero, Ramon Terrell, Hargy Shani, Basement Brap Radio Arcade Podcast, Corey Hale, Arodimus, Slow-Mo Backslap, DJ Oris, and that guy Smitty. Really appreciate you supporting this way. And if you want to support us, always hit the join button on my channel or on Slow-Mo's channel, and you too can be part of the 10%ers. What about you, Slow-Mo?
We got DexFlex27, John the Don, Babe, Dragonheart Yobi, Enrique, Hargy Shani, Truth Serum, Arodimus, Ramon Terrell, Homie One Kenobi, Gaming Forte, Corey Hale, Stardust Cicero, and that guy Smitty. And last Forte said, we love the fact that you guys choose to support us in this way. If you haven't already and you think, hey, I might want to join, go ahead and join. Hit the join button, man. We appreciate you if you do. Also, come check out the second channel, the DPS podcast channel, where we do dual stream the show on that channel as well. And I'm about to pull up the as soon as I find it, the URL for that. We need to just get the special URL thing that everyone else has, right? Like we have actually we do have that. No, we don't, because it's got that number at the end thing, but whatever. I'm putting it in the chat, so come, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. And if you're ever confused about when which channel the podcast is going to be on, just know that you can always go to that channel and you will find it live there. Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, usually.
Yes, sir. All right, so Slow-Mo, let them know where they can find you, what you got going on your channel, and where they can find you on TikTok, because those TikToks be hilarious.
Say again, I couldn't hear you.
I said, let everybody know where they can find you. Let them know about those hilarious TikToks that you be putting out. And,
yeah.
And what you got going on with your channel.
Slow-Mo Backslap on everything. And now I got something else to add to this. That's Twitter. That's TikTok. That's YouTube. That's Instagram. And that's Twitch. And now there's also Kick. I went live on Kick earlier today, and I mean, it wasn't that bad. I would not say it's a better experience so far as a content creator than Twitch, but it has the potential to get there. As viewers, I don't know, like, those who checked it out, they can let us know how they feel about how it works out, and because that's what it's really about. It's really about how other people feel about it. Do they feel comfortable watching someone there, and if it really works? And shout out to look at that! Shout out to Arodimus with the 5 gifted gunslinger memberships. Wow. If you got a gifted membership, please thank Arodimus for that. We appreciate you, bro. Dorian says I'm also on MySpace. Yeah, look, if MySpace did a live streaming, I would go live on MySpace.
Shout out to the lurkers that got the members. Shout out to Ducky. Didn't say a word, but he's here the whole time.
But no, yeah, just yeah, slow mo backslap on everything. I'm getting back and doing lunchtime with slow mo a lot more often, so I think I'm getting into a little bit of a rhythm. You might expect to see it like every Monday, and then maybe another one later in the week. I didn't really do a lunchtime with slow mo today because like I said, I was testing out Kick. But I have an idea now of how I'm going to divide up my content. On YouTube, you would get the reviews, you would get the opinionated think piece kind of stuff, the let's make a do research and deep dive in on black hair and video games kind of stuff. And of course DPS podcast, but on Twitch and TikTok, I'm probably and of course lunchtime with slow mo will stay on YouTube. But like when I play so many games and so many multiplayer games, I think I'm gonna start just doing that on either Twitch or Kick. It's gonna be
Nice.
one or the other. I don't know which one it's gonna be. It depends. That 95% split to 5% split with Kick looking really good right now. So
He says,
that's all it's got going for it right now. But it
yeah.
looks looking really good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll go back and forth for a little while until I make that decision. But that's what you can expect from me, and I'm gonna stick to it. You're gonna see that
Hey,
for
Rodison
certain.
said, really? It's that big of a split? Yeah, it's pretty crazy over there, bro. They over there doing the $1 deal for Microsoft, trying to get as many people
Hey,
in as possible.
it's smart. Look,
It
if you're trying to
is.
get it, if you're trying to get into a market and you see that people are complaining about what was happening with Twitch, Twitch took the split for members and took it from 70% to 50%. People was pissed. Twitch needs competition. How do you make that competition? You copy the same exact interface that Twitch has, and you go in and say, "Hey, content creators, we're gonna give you 95%. We'll only take 5%."
Texas, so I gotta check that out, man. Yeah, go. And it's still a small platform, and so I think they say they only got like 1% of Twitch's viewership, which is still pretty crazy to think that fast they were able to get at least some,
Yeah.
and more
And
and
look,
more people going over there.
the biggest content creator on Twitch just got banned. Whatever his name is. I don't know these kids. But the biggest content creator on Twitch just got banned. I don't know, it may be permanent. But if he goes to Kick,
Oh yeah, he gonna go to Kick. If he got banned from Twitch, he going to Kick.
yeah, well, I mean, like some of them go to YouTube too, because like at one point,
Not for that 9 to 5.
Valkyrie, Dr. Disrespect, they're both on YouTube. So some of them do go to YouTube. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Well, people, gentlemen, boys and girls, children and men of all ages, we appreciate you, and I will chat with you all soon, and Slow Mo will be doing a lunchtime or dinner time with Slow Mo with you guys soon, and we appreciate you as always, and we will see you guys next week. Have a good night, peace, and play some games.
Peace.